And I was very lucky because, as you will see, the residues were very well preserved, so an in situ analysis of residues has been carried out, and both taphonomical, technological use and residue were carried out with a low and high power approach, using for the residues polarizing filters and bright and dark field analysis. Very much important was to work on the distribution pattern of these residues and use work, and to kind of plot the result, as Marlies was showing this morning, on kind of, in my case I was using, since they were like kind of repetitive, I was using the sort of like plot of like a draft of this carpet and this Cyclope shell, just to understand how they were distributed and the patterning of these traces. And everything was verified by an experimental activity and experimental reference collection, and of course fundamental contextual information. So what are these Cyrprinidae teeth? The carps in the family of Cyrprinidae, among which carps are the majority. It's a family which is frequent in freshwater Southern Asia, Africa, and North America. And they are toothless, but they have this pharyngeal jaw on which these teeth grow in patches. And these teeth, you can see here 2 examples, have a globular body and also a bony neck, which is this part, and this globular body is like attached to the pharyngeal jaw through this bony neck. And through the experimental analysis, we were able to understand that the creation of these ornaments, of the blank of the ornament, was due to a fracture from this pharyngeal jaw that was carried out while the bone was fresh. And it is actually impossible to break this, to take these teeth when the jaw is dry, it's dry bone. It's quite impossible, very hard. So they were detached when the bone was fresh, and so probably in connection to butchery activities. And we soon understood that there were like 2 kind of different ornaments. One with this part of the bony surface still attached to the body of the tooth, and one where the clear flexion fracture, which is this, was the only visible, and these ones, which didn't have the bony surface, were the ones who were actually modified, because the other were not. And the modification was composed of a hole created through cutting on the neck and not piercing. So this, let's call it technological choice, was actually depending on how result of the technological activity of creating the little teeth, taking the little teeth out of the gel. So nothing related to some cultural decision, but due to the way they were created. Of course, using flint or corsite tools. So, what about the use wear? First thing that must be underlined is that in both burials, the ornaments, the carp teeth were very much used, showing a very intense development of use wear traces. These use wear traces have been here just summarized as rounding, and you can see here the distribution pattern in a draw, up the one modified by cutting, and down the ones that were actually unmodified. And they can have been distinguished as roundings, so rounding of the surface, located actually where the neck was, and along here of the hole created by the cutting, and also around the neck of the tooth. And there were like a deformation of the profile, actually here again, inside the hole. So through suspension, the hole was actually deformed. Of course, there were compression marks due to, as we will see, to the use of strings that were like compressing the surface here. and also striations due both to the use of strings, as you will see, and also to the movement of the teeth on the surface on which they were suspended. And this striation, in fact, they were just located here on the side of the teeth, so the part which, as we will see, were just free from the strings. And as we said, we were lucky enough to find out residues, and actually I have to be ashamed to be honest, saying that at the beginning I was not very carefully reading papers about the suggestion. Actually, I was the first samples that I was studying, I was trying to clean them, and as soon as I tried, I understood under the microscope that the residues were there, and little spots of ochre. At the beginning it seemed like only little spots of ochre, and then actually residues were plenty. So a little bunch was washed, but the rest was analyzed just like as it comes from the excavation. So red ochre, here you have like the different distribution. It was very interesting to notice that the residues were just sometimes, like, of course, alone, like for example here on the neck or on the like free surface of the teeth, but most of the time they were located in connection to useware, like there inside the hole with the striations and polish from the surface, and also here on the neck. These striations are due to the use, but also very important was to notice that the residues had like orientation. They were kind of oriented, so they were giving us like supplementary information about the system of the retaining system. So they had kind of orientation. Here, like transversal to the neck, so where these lines are, it means that there was some kind of orientation in the residues distribution, and there again transversally to the neck of the unmodified teeth. Together with these ochre residues, which are not uncommon working with ornaments, I found also animal tissue residues, which were compared to the experimental reference collection. And I have also to thank many persons who are here because they helped me to carry out these experiments here in Rome. These residues were, of course, ochre, but also related to collagen fibers, and also probably leather and tendons that were, and also here again, the transversal orientation to the main axis, the long axis of the ornaments. What about the Cyclope nerita? The Cyclope nerita is a nacrid gastropod, and who works with the European Upper Paleolithic and also kind of beginning of Mesolithic is like aware of the use of this shell in Europe, and it's frequent in shallow waters of the Mediterranean Sea and on the sandy shores of the Adriatic coast. And actually the major habitat of this species are the shallow waters, and many are close to the river mouth, so to the delta of the rivers. And it's possible that the ones that were found in Vlasac, which is again in the Central Balkans, were collected close to the Po River delta, and which is 500 kilometers from the region. But it's also possible that they were collected in the Black Sea. Actually, the fact that together with shell ornaments in other burials were found also Columbella rustica, which is another gastropod, which is very typical, very common in the Mediterranean rocky shores. It's possible that also these Cyclope nerita were collected there, even if like isotopic analysis or specific analysis were not carried out. They are not carried out still. Which is what is very typical of this shell is the very colored convex surface, which gives like if you through the collecting them on the shore, you just after like 1 hour you can collect many, like more than 1,000, and you are really aware of the differences in the coloration of the upper surface, which like ranges from pale beige to brown and white and black. But what was very interesting in the Cyclope from Vlasac was that the upper part was missing in all of the ornaments. And when I was talking about taphonomy, because the first thing one thinks is that because of the taphonomical processes, one thinks that the taphonomical processes were affecting the upper surface, as it happens often. But in this case, this absence of the fact that the convex part was missing was also matching together with the presence of impact cones all around the ridges, like the margins of the shells which were left. And actually they were reproduced experimentally, and it was possible with like indirect percussion with a very little hole, bone to remove the upper part of the shell and to create like a shell which actually was all white, as you will soon see. So the removal was due to the fact that these people wanted a white item to be shown. Again, use ware traces were confirming this, and also the distribution of the use ware on this plot were showing that they were used upside down, and it was the white part which was actually shown, and also was confirmed not only from the rounding of the edges, but also from this specific flattening of the apex left from this shell. So it was kind of flat, polished, flat facets was confirmed that was put upside down in a way similar to this experimental one. So in this case, okay, the color doesn't enter anymore, there's only white surface. Important contextual information from the placement of the ornaments on the body were showing that this black little hole here are the Cyclope, neritea, and the rest are the carp teeth, and they were showing a very clear similar patterning, and most of them were placed on the pelvis of the two individuals. And what is striking like was the string of Cyclope, which were actually positioned in the same place in both the individual, and of course with differences. For example, here, like in the torso area of the infant, of the child, like the position, the Cyclope were positioned here, whereas on the adult were just on the back of the shoulder. Another thing which was like very interesting to notice is that they were only on the back of the burial, and this was also possible to recognize through this kind of stratigraphic excavation of the burial, which allowed us to collect all this information about where they were actually positioned on the body with regards to the body. So, just to summarize some techno-functional results, we said that carp teeth and Cyclope neritea ornaments, so through the techno-functional analysis and also residues analysis, we were able to classify them as applique, so something which was actually embroidered onto some kind of leather-made clothing. Second, red threads were made of ochre-stained animal tissues, probably tendon and leather, on the basis of our experimental comparison, were utilized for retaining this carp teeth ornament. It must be underlined also something related to this use of ochre, in the sense that actually the ochre on the residues, especially on the collagen residues, the ochre was, sometimes they were just free of ochre. Other time the ochre was just little stain on top of this collagen residue. So of course there are two open possibilities, that they were probably ochre stained animal tissue, but also the fact that some ochre residues were positioned just at the end of the globular body of the teeth. It was probably, it was possible that the ochre was put on top of this retaining system, as it has been actually recorded for some ethnographic use of elk teeth in North American ethnography. So actually this is an open issue. Predominant concentration are, as you saw from the plotting, are associated with the back of the body. So on the basis of this this distribution, it is possible that these ornaments were actually embroidered on a cloak instead of on two pieces garment like jacket and trousers, because otherwise they would have kind of displayed also in front. But in this case, you have just on the back. Very important is to notice that the ornaments were worn long before their deposition, on the two burial, and this is nothing. I mean, if we think about the 40-year-old woman, but if we think about the child, this is an interesting issue in the sense that we can think that this garment could have been inherited from other children, or we can also think that these carpets were actually recycled, so they were not like using fresh ornaments, but they were kind of using and reusing older dresses or older like specimens. And as we saw, the use of Cyclope is kind of transformation of a natural shell, which was completely transformed and put upside down in order to show this white. And this has, as you see, if you're not interested, had a bit of strength in the next couple of slides, why it is like it can be interesting when we compare to previous uses of this shell elsewhere in the past or in the same region. This is just an idea, just to play a bit with the, of course it's not me, but to give an idea of the ways it was probably a cloak, a sort of blanket worn on top of the shoulders, and the same, of course, patterning of ornaments for both infant and the woman. Just a couple of words about the use of these ornaments. This is actually very interesting to notice that the use of this Cyclope neritea in a way proved that there were like regional networks with other regions, because of course 500 kilometers from like this area of Vlasac to the Adriatic River, but also I mean the same we can see we can say for the Black Sea. At the same time, the use of this Cyclope neritea has a long history for the Upper Paleolithic, and also in the same region we have many information about the use of Cyclope neritea in Upper Paleolithic times, in Italy, in France. I mean, it's not something new. But what is new is that in the previous use of this Cyclope, the Cyclope was like the natural shape of the Cyclope that was selected, and it was just pierced and used as it was, so not regarding the different coloration. But only in Vlasac and in other couple of sites from the same Danube Gorges, you have a completely transformed shape, where actually you maintain the use of the shell, so you maintain a kind of choice of the raw material, but you transform it in your own like language, and through like removing this surface. And this is the same in the other Mesolithic sites of the area. And another very interesting thing is that, as you kind of can imagine, can envision, the use of this carp teeth as a pharyngeal, something hidden, is kind of recalling us the use of red deer canines from Paleolithic times and also early Mesolithic times. But the use of carp teeth is just unique of the region, and probably used also in Germany. Just one other example, and in this site of Holstein Stadl, you find for the Late Mesolithic the same use of carp teeth, but like we are 10 specimens against like thousands in this area. Just a couple of minutes for discussion. What's being open as open questions are, were these ornaments worn by the deceased as everyday ornaments, everyday clothes, or just in ceremonial occasion, or maybe strictly as mortuary dress? I mean, it seems from the intensity of the wear that they were probably either everyday or ceremonial occasions, but for sure, like they were living with the people for a long time, and probably recycled and reused. We also have to say that this pattern of decoration, which we have discussed right now, is not encountered in all burials of Vlasac, but only in few, right? 15 for all excavation, and only 4 burials in the new excavation showed the use of Carpid and Cyclope, like in Vlasac. And these similarities that shown by these two burials can be kind of addressed like in different times, in different ways. The one that convinces the most is the fact that there was kind of fashion for that period because of the number of findings, and also the combination of these ornaments is really clear for this period. So it could be a chronologically confined like fashion for this before the mid-7th millennium BC. At the same time, maybe mortuary treatment given to particular individuals due to their specific social place in the society, maybe belonging to a specific group. It's not excluded anyway when you have both like very well ornamented burials and low important burials in the same site. At the same time, we cannot also exclude the fact that these ornaments were related to specific circumstances of the death of the individual. Not obvious evidence of particular groups' exclusive right in displacing such ornaments has been like clearly proved. We can say that these costumes were related for sure to adult females and to small children, but of course you cannot say about the small children if they were like male or what's even more interesting to notice is that the 1 year old had more carped ornaments attached to her or his costume than the adult female, and this again can tell us something about sort of transmitting the hereditary status, but at the same time we don't have to forget that in many ethnographic societies the use of ornaments is very much associated to children, just as a protective quality of the ornaments. So it's still like an open discussion, and probably further analysis on the ornaments about the burials from the same site will kind of clear up the situation. So let's see.
Thank you very much, Manuela. So we have now the break for lunch that we have in the same room as before for 1 hour, so you can relax and be ready to start again.